What's up, everybody? It's your boy Davon Nelson. Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Davon Nelson. Like I said, man, joining me today is a very awesome videographer, photographer, phenomenal person all around. Joining me today, I got my brother Smitha Lee. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, doing good, man. Doing good.
That man, that's awesome. Listen, so some of y'all probably already seen like me and my wife's like wedding video. This is the man behind that awesome video to capture that moment, that life-changing moment for me and my wife. So happy Monday to you and everybody that is watching. Listen to me. As you may know, I have started the Entrepreneur Podcast platform where I am connecting entrepreneurs with their audience and bringing them together so they can find out more about the person that's behind the business. With that being said, I am offering a sponsorship opportunity. What that means is during this interview, right here in this section, this segment of the interview, I will allow you to do your own video if you want to, or I can do a video and talk about your business for you and get some of your information and point the viewers to your business as well. So if that is something that you are interested in, please feel free to reach out to me right here, call me or DM me saying, hey, I would like to have a sponsorship opportunity. How can I sign up? And we will go more in details when we talk. All right. So don't miss your opportunity, sponsorship opportunity. Get your business in front of more people. Okay. Deuces. Man, hey, bro, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so um what can I say? I have been in the creative space for around 18 years now. I've been doing it since I was 18. So that's the
Wow.
kind of like the funny part. Well, actually, no, 17. It's 17 years. I always get that other year confused. So 17, it's been 17 years. And I grew my company from just myself to over 15 other individuals now. So
That's
it's been
awesome.
a long process, a great process, ups and downs, learning processes, dealing with people, learning people, being there for people. So that's been the great joy of everything is just really being a service to not only my community at large, but those who help with the brand that you all see.
Man, that's awesome. Man, we really appreciate you for helping us. Me and my wife, we still go back and watch our video and still be sitting here crying and everything, because one very significant thing that you captured, which I don't even think it was just by design, but it happened is you captured the moment of her mom, and then you was able to capture my wife's grandma, which both of
Mhm.
those two souls have transitioned and went on to be with the Lord and everything. So, to still go back and be able to sit back and look at that, that moment. So we really appreciate you for that. Um,
Yeah, bro, it's no problem. I mean, it's a similar scenario that I'm going through right now. My aunts passed away last week, and I had an
I'm
opportunity
sorry to hear
to
that.
oh man, I appreciate it, bro. I had an opportunity to capture her and her husband together as before everything started to change in her life. So I often tell people like if you don't get a professional videographer, filmmaker, photographer, or whatever, at least capture the moments on your phone so you will have them. I think oftentimes some people get caught up in, hey, I don't want to capture this, or I don't want to take a photo of this, or I don't want photos at all. But those are the things that people are going to tangibly have one day. So it's it's good to hear that. It is.
Absolutely, man. And my wife had to get me, up to speed on that because I was one of them people. I was like, oh, let's just be in the moment. And now I'm grateful that I have a wife that, in certain moments, she pull her phone out and capture those moments because then we can go back and we can look and be like, man, I remember what we was doing or what we was going through. It's you never really understand how much a photo or a photographer matters until you want to go back and revisit moments. You know what I'm saying? Like very significant moments in your life. So as you started on this journey, like you said, it's been a process. What is the one thing you wish you knew when you started taking photos?
I would say the one thing that I wish I would have knew at especially at the beginning,
Hmm.
would be getting out of my own way of trying to capture what I'm seeing other people do and just enjoy the process of growth. Because as you shoot, as you film, you start to develop your own voice.
Hmm.
And that comes with repetition. You only get better by doing in any craft that's dealing with your one and two hands, right? Your right and left. So the more you do it, the better it becomes. I feel like in my first 5 years, I did a lot of viewing and processing and trying to learn rather than actually shooting and doing. I would have been doing a lot more doing because me doing the work, that's what got me to where I'm at now. I probably would have been a lot quicker if I would have, especially during that time when I had the flexibility of a lot more time, it
Hmm.
would have been beneficial.
Okay, so and that kind of leads me. You kind of touched on it. With like you said, with anything you're doing, just doing it over and over and over.
Mhm.
Um, like so with doing photography, um, what really makes you stand out, and what made you great? I ain't gonna say good because you surpass good. You're great at what you do. What made you reach that level?
To be honest, it's really just consistency. That's the only thing that really, when you really break down my growth compared to others, is consistency and understanding the business of the art. There are a lot of people that get into the creative space more so on the creative aspect or
Mhm,
passion, seeking passion.
mhm,
That is one thing that I kind of learned early in my teen years, that I wasn't the one that really went for passion. And I had a lot of passion. I have passion,
mhm,
but I went for the things that were going to give me the foundation so I can then chase passion. So when it comes to the creative space, that's what's helped me out the most, is understanding that I need to understand the business, how this work, how people interact with it, how people consume this, then understanding the creative space of it, rather than trying to do those things backwards.
mhm,
Because then you can get in a place where their appreciation is not there, but are you really creating something that people actually want? So, and a lot of people that may sound asinine to some people, but to me and my process and how I think and what's got me to where I'm at, that process has helped me.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. A lot of I might have a lot of people that watch this, and they may be considering the creative side of things, especially photography. Um,
Mhm.
from your perspective, what are some essential resources that you recommend that if somebody just wanting to start or get into this, what resources do you recommend for them?
I would say the biggest resources would be, first of all, going to YouTube, learning as much as you can by yourself, and applying that information. Because what I'm seeing a lot now is that we have such a wealth of information now. Um, Even when it comes down to like podcasts, so much information. But what I'm not seeing is the application of the information that they learning. Like even in myself, like I'm getting to a place where I'm cutting down as much as I consume
Hmm.
and create more. So that I can apply the information that I have and walk that out. Because if I'm constantly just consuming information, then I'm kind of like a cup of water. I'm constantly pouring water into it, but what's happening is it's going to overflow. But that stuff that was at the bottom, it eventually comes out because I'm just consuming, but I'm not doing anything with it. So I would say the biggest thing would be starting with YouTube as much as you can until you plateau, then getting into where you can kind of pay for courses, learn from people, then from there see where that leads you. A lot of people don't take those steps first. They want to just get into it, or I just want to get into it and quickly find me a mentor, which is great. Finding a mentor is an easy cut too. But also you got to be willing to also pay that said mentor. So a lot of people don't understand that portion. Like even with me, a lot of my mentors are not free. All of my mentors are not free. And I even say a lot. There's not one mentor that I have in my life that I have just off the sake of we're cool. There is an exchange that's happening, whether that's monetarily, whether that's me in time, where I'm going up there to serve and help out with something, or I'm helping so far as in something in so far as that business. There is an exchange that's coming, and oftentimes when people get into mentorships, they think it should be the mentor just pouring, and that is the furthest thing from the truth. So the mentorship would help cut a lot of ways, but are you willing to go there and actually serve? And I don't know if a lot of people are being honest about that.
Oh man, that look, that's serving that's another whole podcast
Yeah,
show. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of people they miss that part because if the mic is not in their hand, they're not showing up. You
right.
know what I'm saying? Or if the spotlight ain't on them, they're not gonna show up. Like me and my wife, it's been plenty of times that we've done like outreaches in Facebook and social media, didn't even know about it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because we rather serve and let God reward us openly versus trying to prove a point that we are out here doing something. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, it's always an exchange. It's always you don't just show up and say, "Hey, pour into me." No, like what are you bringing to the table? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So man, yeah, I ain't gonna get too much into that part.
Yeah, bro, it's big. Like, so here's the thing: a lot of people think of the photography side. Photography is not really literally the first thing I got. I only got into photography because I needed a way to kind of compensate my filmmaking career so far as getting equipment. So I kind of fell
Mm,
into photography. Photography was not the first thing, and it's still not my complete passion, to be honest.
mm,
Um, can I teach it? Yes. Do I enjoy it? Yes. Is it the thing at the end of the day that's going to keep me going? No, if I'm being honest with that. So I love the storytelling and on the filmmaking side, and I'm still into that and still building with that. Uh, the first couple of times when I was even getting into film, literally, I'm going to sets, not expecting anything and just helping, getting coffee. Like one guy was like, "Hey, the black guy that was coming, they dropped out. Can you be a hand model for me right quick?" Sure, whatever I need to do, show me. I'll do it. Like staying late nights. There was one set that I was helping out on the camera aspect, and we were there until like 4 a.m. one time, just helping, shooting, different things like that, and not getting paid. So it's things like that in the beginning of the career that kind of got me to where I'm at, and those connections. And some people are like, well, are they, that's kind of like they're taking advantage of it. It's like, no, they're allowing me to get in a space where I can learn, and it's okay if something happens that is a space where I can fail, rather than me trying to do it on my own, and it's my own project. Then you're gonna see what's gonna happen. So um no, I do. I appreciate that, bro.
yeah, man. So with like you said, you're doing your filmmaking career and everything, and um everybody has a different way of their creative process. And like me, when I'm getting ready to write a song or something like that, I probably
Mhm.
listen to the beat for 3 months before I even come up with anything, so that's a part of my creative process. What is your creative process for filmmaking and doing photography and stuff like that?
Photography, it depends on which style I'm doing, and I'm gonna break that down. Um, on the maternity aspect, it's the mom's connection to herself and showing how motherhood has changed in how she's embracing that. So the creative process of behind all of that is totally different. Whether than when it comes to a wedding where I'm focusing on the couple and their this initial story and how can I capture that in a very unique way in the location that they have to tell a story that's unique to that said individual.
Mhm.
Or when I'm in filmmaking, I'm more so led by the musical aspect and then the script, which is different for a lot of people. A lot of people are led by, you know, the script or building the script first. Usually there's some songs that kind of help me with the actual script, and then I build
Mhm.
off of that.
Man, that's
So those are kind of
and
like my three processes depending on which lane.
I can tell you, the way you captured like my wife coming down, walking down to me in the like what really set that moment off was the music.
Hmm.
What like I think it was Neo that you had playing, and I'm getting chill bumps just thinking about it. But I'm the same way. Like I like for the music that the music plays a very big part in telling the story. But then when you
Right.
add the visuals with it, it takes it to a whole another level. So I can see that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um
Because I think it was "Stop This World" that I used for that. If I'm
yeah, yeah.
"Stop This World," and
Dope.
the first couple of words of that is okay. I woke up in heaven today. It correlates with the pure whiteness that you had on with yours. The semblance of how she felt in purity on that day is just that song. Just it connects very, very well for you all.
See that somebody looking on the surface. That's why I'm glad I'm doing this platform, because it gives people insight into not just an entrepreneur, but as people with our mindset. Like, what was your
Hmm.
thought process behind that? Because a lot of times, we go to the movies, we see these movies, and it's like, man, that was dope. But to really talk to a person and talk to the producer and the director and say, what was you thinking really in that moment? Because
Right.
it's going to speak differently to everybody. Like for you, the white and the white with the words in heaven, and for me watching it, I'm like, well, my wife is just beautiful. She
Yep.
made me feel heaven on earth. You see what I'm saying? It's the
Uh huh.
same thing, but it means something different to everybody. So, man, thank you for that insight.
Yeah.
um Everybody doing something creative, they gain inspiration from different places. Like for me, a lot of my music is based on being inspired from my life, how
Hmm.
I was raised, stuff I've seen, went through. What inspires your work? It can be from the filmmaking side and the photography side. What inspires you?
Okay, so that is a hard question at the moment, and I'm gonna tell you why. I am going through a very strong transitional stage in my life
Hmm.
where I'm finding a new voice. And right now, I don't know what I like. May sound very weird for someone like
Hey.
myself, but right now it's so funny. Like this is the first time in my life where I honestly don't know next steps of what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
I have an idea, but it's not a like for instance, when I went to school, I was like, I'm only going to school to get a job so I can build up my company and I'm gonna stay at my mom's as long as as long as it's possible to get enough money so I can then, start bringing on staff. First goal, boom, check mark, that happened. Then it got to where Now I'm getting this. My company's doing good. I'm in this job. I'm working. Next step is knocking off student loans, so I don't have this loan, big $72,000 loan hanging over my hair. Check, knock that off. Next thing, um, entrepreneurship, building a team, staff portion, people that are in different places that can help carry out the goals, and so you can get back into film. Took a step back from film, and that's where I'm at now. And now it's like, okay, now it's like check marks, check marks, check marks, check marks, check marks, which is funny. So my inspiration right now, I would say, is just me thoroughly just enjoying the journey and
Mhm.
just seeing. I do have a travel bug. I do want. I feel not. I feel. I've spent over these 17 years so much time building, putting in the business that I really have. I'm not as well traveled as I should be, because I've poured in so much to this, overall vision of the company, and I need to go out and find my voice even more and tailor it. So that's the season because you hit me on the podcast. You actually hit me at a really perfect time because this is my transitional moment, and I don't know where that's going to go at the moment. So I am. I know that right now I'm kind of focusing on family, faith, and business. And as of right now, those are the only three pillars that I have, and I'm focusing on those. So that's what I can tell you. That's really my inspiration at the moment. Whether than unless it's a like couple or someone is getting doing maternity or different things like that, then I have a scope where I can kind of focus and build. But I'm building off of their vision, and I'm just building off of what I like and meshing that together. That's creating the vision. But so far as for myself, I honestly don't know.
Hey man, thank you for being honest.
Yeah.
It's okay because as far as like with me starting this podcast, I'm trying to reach back out to people where I've actually experienced, or me and my wife have used the service.
Hmm.
So it's more than just you know at the moment is because I do have some people, like I got a private chef I'm getting ready to interview. I got a real estate agent out of Memphis, Tennessee, I'm getting ready to interview. So
Hmm.
aside from that, right here in my own backyard, I'm like, I know a ton of people that are entrepreneurs, so why not reach out to them first? You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
was sitting here thinking, I was like, man, Smitha Lee, let me go ahead and reach out to him. You know what I'm saying, to bring him on. So man, hey, it worked. So,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
said, man,
Yeah.
thank you for your. I know it's a transitional season in which, honestly, I think everybody goes through that. After you
Hmm.
worked hard and you've accomplished this and you accomplished that, and it's like, man, what's next? And
Yeah.
like for me, I told myself in January, man, I'm gonna go ahead and record this last album. I ain't recorded one song. I'm like, I've been mainly focused on family and really my mental health. You know what I'm saying? Like my family inspires me to focus more on my mental health, and music could come, but right now, my family, that's my foundation. So I'm focusing more on
Yeah.
that. Um, so you've done, I know you, like I said, you've been in this for 17 years and you've been going hard at it. Um, can you share with us a most memorable photography experience? I know it's probably a lot, but that one that just immediately jumps out to you.
Yeah. So many. It's the funny thing about it is just it really depends on what mood I'm in. Um, man. So I would say there's a photo where Sadie is on my arm, on my shoulder, and Ari's kind of floating in the air. It's um like a chemistry portion, like she's floating in the air, and I'm like trying to contain the atmosphere. This is a really really dope composite shot that we did. That is, I would say, that is one of my favorites that we've done. Outside of that, there is a photo where Ari and Sadie are sitting on a tree because it was the first time when I started getting into more of my creative spaces of buildings, helping doing sets and everything. So they're in like a circle with like a lot of different flowers and stuff over it.
Mhm.
And literally this is, I'm taking this at my mom's house. And I had nowhere else to kind of take it and get a tree, roped everything up. Like I'm literally out there trying to tie up things, and one of my staff members comes over there and kind of helps hold the rope so it doesn't snap when they get inside of it. Just to take this, tree photos. That was, I would say that was one of my favorite ones, and that's actually what got me into doing like mini sessions and stuff in photography. That
Mhm.
one session with them. So just trying new things and also hiring other people, because that's another time that I collaborate with another creative to do things like this right here. I love florals. I love the idea of florals. I can help. Uh, but I don't have the passion to sit there. Hmm. I don't have the passion to sit there and learn that type of skill.
Mhm.
And I think this is a thing that a lot of creatives have to get in the space. You have to know your lane and be okay with your lane and learn how to delegate. So that piece is that I use. I collaborate with the floral because that individual that did the white circle thing gave her the idea. She did it. I paid her for the services, and then we made it happen. Years later, I'm still using her for a lot of my floral arrangements. And I say this because oftentimes creatives want to get in a space where I got to know how to do every last thing, and that's okay at the beginning portion where you have to cut costs and different things. But as soon as you have the profit margin to hire someone to do that set of tasks, it just helps everything be. It helps you become so much more efficient because you can focus on one thing and execute that one thing while everything else, while you have other people focusing on one thing. And that's the thing that in filmmaking, which makes phenomenal films, is being a director, knowing how to find talent that's really good at very individual, unique things. You bringing all those individuals together, and that creates the picture that we see. So I bring that same mindset when it comes to even my photography, or even when I'm hiring people on my team. I don't hire for skill. I hire for very unique niche things, because
Mhm.
somebody can be a phenomenal photographer. I'm majority of the time not going to ask that person to become, or if they ask to become a part of the team, I'm going to say no, because I'm looking for very nichey things. Because if you have a talent that someone else has, what's the point of bringing you apart? We're trying to build a conglomerate. So it's better for me to just niche and get people that are very good at different things and bring that together, because what that does is that helps to build a unit. I learned that skill from filmmaking. So that same
Mhm.
mindset I bring in a lot of my creative spaces, that I don't want to go in trying to learn another task. I want to understand it so I can then
Mhm.
translate that information to that other individual, how I'm thinking about doing it, but I want them to focus on doing it, and we collaborate together to bring whatever that said picture is.
Got you, man. That's dope. And it's crazy because before I got into business, I didn't understand none of that.
Mhm,
Wasn't I was the one who was like, man, I gotta wake up and I gotta learn this. Like right now, me and my wife, we help uh wholesale mobile homes. And
mhm,
so now, I when I first started into real estate, I'm like, man, I gotta learn this, I gotta learn that, I gotta do all this, and I was trying to put on multiple hats, but then I spoke with a mentor of mine, and he gave me that insight, just like what you just mentioned.
mhm.
Delegation will be your best friend.
Yes.
And I remember ET Eric Thomas, he once said, just because you can do something don't mean you should.
I mean, you
So
should, yeah.
like just because you can, like, yeah, you might be dope at doing it, but if you just if you want to maximize on your time, find somebody else that can do it, and
Bro,
it's gonna save you so much time.
that right there, I'm glad I learned that early on the time aspect and the collaboration because there are so many people. Think about this. Back in school, everybody either did chorus, band, or orchestra, right? You had to pick
Mhm.
one of the three. How many people still playing the instruments? You're so far removed from that because you're not even doing that task anymore. Same thing for everybody had to do either Spanish, French, or Latin. I can't. All I know is Hola now. That's all I know in Spanish. I don't know anything else in Spanish. Took a whole 3 years, and all I can say is Hola, and I think back, but black is Blanca or whatever. I may be even mispronounced, but it's nothing I use. So if I'm
Right.
ever going to then start pitching to people are there of the Hispanic or Latino X community, I'm going to work with someone that understands that and can do it. Rather me going to get a book and learning how to learn Spanish now when I could be focusing my energy doing what I'm great at. I think oftentimes as creatives, as entrepreneurs, we spend so much time trying to focus on doing all these different things to make whatever big plan it is, rather than focus on that one thing, becoming really great with that one thing, then probably teaching some, not probably teaching someone else to become really, really great at that thing. Then you can move to someone else. And that's honestly how I've been able to scale because of that, because of that
Yeah.
that one thing, that it just being very unique and chipping at the thing, even though it's getting boring, still chipping. Not getting to a place where, oh man, this is boring. I want to mix it up. Nah, I'm gonna keep chipping at it. And
Mhm.
over the years, you look back and it's like, man, I built a masterpiece, and now I can get the fruits from that. Because if you're twirling the ground or working as a farmer, there's work that has to go into it. It's gonna be a lot of hours, and it's the same exact thing we have to do in our creative space as well.
Man, that hey, I'm honestly, um I'm considering doing like an entrepreneurs conference where
Hmm.
I do this same thing, bring in entrepreneurs, and like a 1-2 day conference, and we really dive into entrepreneurship because what, like you said, like with the farmer, right?
Hmm.
What happens is the farmer will go out and plant some seed in 2023.
Hmm.
Now the farmer is waking up at 5 a.m. every day, tending to those seeds that he put in the ground. The thing is, nobody is around to see when he is waking up at 5 a.m.
Right.
Oh, they ride by one day, all of a sudden they see a field full of fruit, veggies, and like, oh man, then they want to come and they want to start picking off of that. But no, you can have the same thing, but you got to be willing to wake up at 5 a.m. If
Yep.
you I don't want, you ain't ready. So like having this conference where we dive in, because I was at a real estate meetup not too long ago, and this guy walked up and he said, man, I said, hey sir, what do you do? He was like, I manage my rental portfolio. I said, cool. I said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to tell me all the ugly and the nastiest things that you could possibly tell me. Don't tell me the good stuff. Don't tell me about the money or the checks and all. I don't want to hear about that. You know,
Mhm.
tell me the when, like you said, chipping at it when you get bored. You
Right.
know, them moments where you don't want to get up, your whole house sick, you know, everybody in the house got a fever. And what are you going to do then? You going to stop? You going to give up? What are you going to do? You know, so I want to have a conference where we dive into the ugly, the ugly side of
Yeah, bro.
entrepreneur. You know, I might even call it ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
um,
dead, man. Like there's so many people that I find become really good at things, and because they get bored, they literally switch and go to something else,
mhm,
not knowing that it's gonna take you so much more time to then be known for something else because you really didn't master this to the point where then I can then bring on another person. Now they can manage that. And now I can go over here and start from point A. It may not take me 5 years, it may take me two this time, but I still have
mhm.
to spend a lot of time building up whatever that new thing is. So it's best to still keep that other thing going because it gives me a foundation.
Exactly. Um, I I did a video a while back. I'm pretty sure you know you've been at a wedding. You seen where people have had like the wine glasses stacked up, right?
Hmm.
So you know you have all the wine glasses at the bottom, then the next row, and it goes all the way up, and then there's one wine glass at the top. And
Hmm.
if you keep pouring into that one wine glass, it'll start to pour into the rest of the wine glasses. You know,
Right.
so like you said, like, you know, if you focus in on that one wine glass and pour all you have into that one, it's
Hmm.
gonna start anything else you want to do. It's gonna start to fill up and it's gonna start to pour over into you know all your family or anybody else that get connected with you, and that's how it should be. I think God sometimes pours so much into us to the point where we overflow, and then whenever somebody comes to get connected with us, like what's pouring out of us should pour into them. You know, like it could be a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of time, or experience, something. We have something to give if you've taken time to really pour into yourself. Um, so yeah, man. While when I do music a lot, one thing I run into is writer's block. And you know, it's a real thing. You know, sometimes your mind just I don't know. It just does this thing, and you have to get away, and you have to, you know, some people like Tyler Perry. I think he goes off, you know, a random location, and you know, he turn off the cell phone, turn off
Hmm.
social media, all that, and get to himself. How do you handle creative blocks?
I stop and I come back to it the next day. I literally just stop. That
Hey,
because I don't believe in just forcing it. So if it's not happening, I'm not gonna pull blood from a doggone wall. So is if it's not coming, I literally just stop, go to something else, or just leave it alone for the day. Like I even like the return of investment of like working at a lot of things. Like I'm a really strong proponent of I really feel like people should like control their schedule and time. Like I don't like when things get thrown last minute in the scheduling portion because I'm able to then focus all of my given things to that one task, whatever a lot of time that I've done. So if I allotted a time for something and it's not really working out how I want it to work out, then I just put that thing to the moment and then focus on something else. That's usually what I do. Then I come back to it. So um that's what's helped me. Now, would that help for everybody? I don't know. But me just coming back to it another day and just having a fresh perspective, because a lot of painters do that as well. Like they're working on a art piece, you can get
mhm.
so locked into where you start adding trees. You're like, let me add a tree here. Let me add a tree here. And all of a sudden, you notice that the barn that you had in the back, you feel like you should have added more trees. You go away from that bad boy, you come back, it's like, dang it, covered up the barn. I really wanted that there. And then you have to go back and
Right.
kind of correct what you already did. So it's good to
Mhm.
not force it and just literally stop and just come back. And if that's you just focusing on another piece, focusing on a piece, or literally just stop all at one time and just come back to it another day.
Man, I can't tell you how many songs I done recorded. I sit there and I listen to it probably 1,000 times, no lie. Walk away from it, come back to it probably 2 or 3 days. No, gotta change it. And I erase the whole thing. And then what comes out is like, oh, I'm glad I did that, and not just
Hmm.
just push it out because like, oh, let me go and just record another song and put it out. No, like take your time and really sit back and as long as it feel good to you, once it feel good to
Yep.
you, go with it. You know what I'm saying? Like despite don't I think one of my biggest problems, I used to always care what other people thought about what I was doing, and that would hinder me. And then I would get into this mode of trying to make music of what I think somebody wanted to hear, versus me looking on the inside, like you said earlier, like what mood am I in? Like
Hmm.
whatever mood I'm in, I want to capture that moment. And so a lot of times it requires me to I will experience that moment. I'm in that mood, but it might not be what I'm feeling in that moment, really. You know what I'm saying? It just sounded good in
Right.
the moment, but to capture my real emotion, I'm like, okay, sometimes you got to step away from it and come back to it. Um, let's see, I got some more questions. Um, I know in photography, in videography, filmmaking, the camera, without the camera, none of that is even possible.
Hmm.
What's your go-to camera gear?
I thoroughly enjoy Canon for its color science and the flexibility that I have with it.
Mhm.
I would say that would always be my go-to. Now, what tool I'm going to use for the project to a specific camera, that's going to be based off what type of story we're trying to tell. And that's where the complicated part comes into play. So, say for instance, right now we're working on a documentary on Black doulas right now. Been working on that for a couple of years,
Mhm.
and I choose to use more of the cinema cameras for that. And but when I'm working on so far as my short films, not may, but I usually switch to red for that because it gives me a lot more flexibility in post. And so far as with the grading and different things like that, I don't really have to worry about the natural true tones. When it comes to a wedding, I may use one of our mirrorless cameras because at a wedding, stuff can change at the drop of a dime. So I need something that's not too big, but can quickly focus and get into the shots, which you never know that kid that all of a sudden is walking with the ring starts dashing down the aisle. You never know when that's going to happen. It's just very spontaneous at a wedding. So it's good to have equipment that is as spontaneous for those occasions. So it really just depends. And when it comes to photography, am I shooting quick movements? Then, well, I'm most likely going to use my Canon R3. But if I'm just doing maternity or in studio portrait session or just regular wedding portrait portion, then hey, I may use my R5. But if I am trying to capture photo and video at the same time, I may use my R5C because then I can switch between both with very high quality. So it literally just depends on what's the end goal of that project, and that's going to dictate what tool I use. Like a carpeting, a carpenter wouldn't use the same like knife for every single side of chair or a piece of furniture that he's making or a
Mhm.
sculpture. He's going to use different tools for different things. So it's the same thing that comes within my industry. Is just there's no such thing as an overall tool. It's just what product is works best that you have in your grasp for the said task and outcome that you need.
That's dope, man. Of course, some of these cameras that you mentioned, I'm like, I don't know what that is. But that's why you listen, y'all, hire somebody that know what they are doing.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, shoot, it comes to like audio, bro. I was in the studio, like I'm filming a what is it? I'm doing a documentary for Chatham Culture Center, focusing on Battle of the Bands. It's been literally happening since like the 1960s here in Spartanburg.
wow.
And I'm in the studio. They're talking about like, oh, I play on a B3 and I do this, and I'm assuming that's a piano. I'm like, bro, I have no. Then he started talking about other stuff. I was like, I have no idea. So I'm asking questions because I don't know. I don't know that, to a certain extent, I know that mics have different depths and everything, different colors. To a certain extent,
Yeah,
I know that because I have to deal with it in filmmaking. But I'm not a boom operator where I know every single mic. So it's
right.
just, it'll be the same thing for me in different industries, like for real.
Exactly, man. Man. I was like, I didn't even know one of the cameras you named. That's a camera. Like what? Nah, like you know what? I'm gonna just leave it to the professionals. Just take out my phone, and I'm a phone photographer.
Hey, ain't
I
nothing
can
wrong with
look.
that.
I can use the lines to get the right angle, but don't ask me to come. Y'all don't ask me to come shoot at your wedding. You're gonna be upset. So we get ready. I like on my podcast, I do things differently. A lot of people say we getting
Mhm.
ready to land this plane, right? No, we getting ready to land this jet. Like we doing right now, we doing a podcast on the jet. I'm speaking into
Okay,
existence. I'm gonna be the first person to do a podcast on the jet. Watch what I tell you.
let's do it.
Um, um, last question: what legacy do you hope to leave through your business or through your creative business?
My goal would be one of the first creative spaces in South Carolina that is full of an agency that's full of South Carolina talent. That's why I don't try to pick up Georgia talent. I don't try to bring over North Carolina talent. I have some good friends that are in other states. I have friends that would love to become a part of my team. Like, bro, you say the word, I'm dropping. I'm moving. It's cool. But I'm really for growing home talent because South Carolina isn't one of is there's a lot of opportunity here and it's a lot that's coming here. So I want to be known for that, building something out of nothing. Tyler did it with, Georgia with Tyler Perry Studios. You had Harry Ford, which was like I think with Ford, and think that's Detroit or Michigan, one of the two. But I want to do the exact same thing, but with South Carolina talent and focusing on that because we have a lot that's here, a lot of people, a lot of talent that goes other places. And oftentimes they change where they're from because it doesn't ring of excellence coming from South Carolina. Like you will be shocked the amount of conversation when I'm in other states and I'm shooting for like other productions and different things. Everybody assumes I'm from Atlanta automatically. Automatically put me in Georgia. Yo, yeah, yeah, bro. This Smitha from Atlanta. He's right down the street from us. I'm like, no, from South Carolina. I am from South Carolina, born and raised, not going anywhere. I don't plan on going to any other state. I love my taxes here. I love my land. I love I have freedom here. So I don't see myself in another state. So that I would say that would be my end goal for what I'm envisioning. So yes.
Man, that's awesome. That's dope. And you know, me and my wife, we a few years back, we was out in Arizona, and it we was amazed at being in Arizona. You would be amazed at how many Arizonians you don't meet. A lot of the people that you run into literally, oh, I'm from Pennsylvania, or I'm from Florida, we from South Dakota. What? South Dakota still on the map? Like, so it's just it's like, and when they hear us, well, with mainly my wife, when my wife
Right.
started talking, they automatically, you must be from South, the South somewhere. She just got that Southern hospitality and the
Yes,
Southernness that's
such
in
a
her, and yeah, man,
she has a
everywhere we
Belle
go,
accent, a Southern Belle accent. I love her
yes.
voice.
Hey,
She
I
really
tell
does.
her, like, I'm like, we'll be out somewhere, and she'll start talking, and she don't realize. I'm like, babe, your voice is very unique. Like, you can't, like, in the crowd of people, you're gonna stand out. It's
Yep.
just like you got that. I don't know. So like right now, she's doing triage nursing where she's on the phone, and you know, a lot of people when they call in, they're like, "Oh, you must be from the South somewhere." And she'll let them know, like, yeah, I'm from South Carolina, but they like, we can hear it in your voice. And I told her, like, that's your thing, your voice,
Yeah.
is
My
very
thing is
powerful.
own it. Bro, like, what helped me with that because there was one point where I was trying to change how I was talking, and what helped me with that was Ryan Coogler. When you hear Ryan Coogler speak, he sound like he is up and down from Oakland. There's no other place that he is from. He is from Oakland. You can hear it in his dialect, how he pronunciates, all of that. And by now, especially the institutions that he's attended, he could have changed that dialect.
Hmm.
But it's a part of him. I think, and not I think, but that's also what makes him unique.
Right.
So I'm like, man, I'll say keep it because that's a very unique character, and what we
Oh
have is
yeah.
what we have. And instead of trying to change to be something else, man, I'm loving just embracing who I am. And I would say that's probably where I'm at now, embracing more of who I am and being okay with that, and knowing that I accept all of my flaws as well as
Mhm.
all of the positive things that also come with me as well. And
Right.
that's what makes me human. So that's the process that I'm in. And I'm learning to be okay with that. Like I'm a black South Carolina nerd that has a lot of friends that are within the geek space, but unknowingly is very tied in with the hood element because of schools and stuff that I went to and people that I grew up with.
Right.
Very unique. And I'm okay. I feel comfortable in both spaces.
Right.
So, and I'm okay with that now. I
Yeah.
used to, I would say before now, I was hesitant to talk about my background and who I am. And now I'm getting to this place where I'm just embracing all of that because that's what naturally what makes me who I am. And that's why I was like, man, yeah, I'm like in such of a transitional moment in space. So it's been great.
Man, that's awesome. That I was, me actually doing this podcast is moving me out of my comfort zone.
Mhm.
I never asked to, like, when doing music, it wasn't something that I was pursuing because when I first started, I didn't think about getting up in front of people doing shows. I just enjoyed tying my $20 Radio Shack microphone to to the ceiling fan cord and putting a little paper in the back of the cassette tape to press a record and thinking that
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing something. I was happy with doing that. I come from a musical family, so just being around music all my life, I was happy with doing that. But then the more I started to understand, like, oh, doing shows, every show I've ever done, I can't tell you, my stomach hurt like crazy. I'm talking about like bubbles, just nervous. You know what I'm saying? But because I was always insecure about my voice. So that's what I mean
Mm-hmm.
by me doing this podcast is moving me out of my comfort zone, because now I'm having to use the very thing that I was afraid of in the beginning. So now the more shows I do, the more people I interview, I get more and more
Mm-hmm.
comfortable in just saying, this is who I am, and I embrace it. This is me, so here we are. so
That's beautiful, bro.
so yeah, man. Like I said, I ain't gonna hold up too much more of your time. I know you're super busy with being a great father, a great husband. Man, I really appreciate you for coming on here, and gracing the people with some insight and some gems. Um, man, hey, this has been Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Davon Nelson. And hey, bro, let the people know how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah. You literally type in Smitha Lee on Google. It's gonna pull up all of my stuff. I'm a hawk when it comes to my SEO game. I don't let that stuff falter. It's very important to my life. So if you type that in, it's gonna bring up from websites to different like YouTube stuff, Instagram, all of that. So check it out.
That's awesome. And too, when I go back and do my little editing stuff, I definitely put that information down here so people can, man, I need to go ahead and hook up with this guy right here. So yeah, man. Hey, Spartanburg, stand up. We right here I'm literally, me and my wife in Inman right now. So we in Spartanburg County. So
Yep.
yeah, shout out Spartanburg County, and all the other surrounding areas. And again, this has been Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Nelson. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Deuces.